Hi, thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. I'm Reverend MeeLing. I've been known by quite a few names. Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, so on and so forth. So I'm going to take a step outside real quick to a place that I found real quick. And so I'm going to start with the South Fork Bridge is dedicated to the everlasting memory of those from Flathead County who gave their lives in service to their country. And so that way you could see that. And so I'm gonna really quickly show this before I go on. I have a few comments after I finish this. And so, Montana, obviously, in certain regards, is quite a bit acknowledging of their guys, rightfully so, who had served their country, the United States of America, in various wartime efforts. And, you know, where there have been the issues that I had in regards to my Medal of Honor art project. You can see that. You know, where some may not have appreciated or liked the fact that I am patriotic, despite what I look like, despite, you know, the fact that I don't have the normal look, right, as far as what a normal individual who has signed the dotted line to serve the country of the United States of America. And I knew that. I discussed it many times before I ever wrote my first 2 books in specific. I had acknowledged, and this is back when I first woke up from my coma after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, and I was in medical hold unit. I remember I was speaking with Watson, who later would wind up having to give me a whole bunch of counseling statements because I just kept messing certain things up, because I didn't graduate basic training. And there was one day, Watson and I were sitting outside in the smoking section, the hut outside, and lit up a cigarette. He had lit up a cigarette. It was before Captain Morning became Captain Morning, as well as before he had become company commander of Medical Hold Unit. And I told Watson, I said, I'm really upset. And he goes, why? And I said, it's not just because I keep getting in trouble. Like, because by that point I already had a handful of counseling statements. I hadn't gotten my Article 15 yet, but I had gotten quite a few counseling statements. And he goes, well, why are you upset, Hom? And I said, because, you know, I already feel like there's going to be a bunch of people who won't understand certain aspects. And I joined the Army. I fought to, like, be emancipated, to join, to be able to help. And he kind of looked at me. He's like, well, you know, you'll be able to do something. And I look at him and I'm like, yeah, no, Watson. I had plans. Like, I had plans to be the first female command of the Army. Like, I had chosen this path because of this nightmare that turned into a dream, because dreams are better than nightmares, of course. And, you know, I had, like, this whole thing where everything was going to be able to be better because of all the stuff that I was already seeing and feeling at the time. And it just, it bothers me. It hurts. Like, it hurts my heart. And he just kind of looked at me. He was like, Mom, you're young. And I'm like, yeah, that's not important. Numbers, you know, age of numbers, that's not important. And he looked at me and he goes, it is important. You're only 17 years old. You got a long life ahead of you. And I looked at Watson and I go, despite the fact that I mess up all the time in Medical Hold Unit, I'm going to mess up a whole bunch more. Do I really come across as a 17-year-old to you? And he just inhaled his cigarette, and he took, like, one of those really, like, really, really, really long inhales. And he just kind of, well, other than you getting in trouble, I said, outside of me getting in trouble, anytime we talk, anytime we discuss things, do I come across as a 17-year-old to you? And he looked at me and he goes, not really, Hom. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, I understand, you know, in like certain ways I'm young, but I'm not, and you know that. And he looks at me and goes, well, you know, you got a long life ahead of you. Yeah, that's not the point. That's not the point at all. Like, I'm very frustrated and upset because I know that my nightmare is coming into reality, and I'm so scared because my nightmare is coming into reality. And he looked at me and he goes, what could your nightmare be worse than your head injury? I'm like, because I don't have words right now. And he was at that point, he was still teaching me colors. And so, you know, we talked and stuff like that. And I had to explain why I joined, why I fought to join. And he just kind of looked at me and he just, okay. You know, that's kind of a little weird for you to look at it that way. And I looked at Watson and I was like, yeah, I don't deny that, but if you had the nightmare as many times as I did when growing up, you would understand. And yeah, there's a point where it turns to a dream, but I'm so nervous and so scared because, like, what am I supposed to do? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, I don't look like someone who's been in any, you know, aspect of military. He looked at me and goes, you do too. I said, I'm only wearing the uniform. once I'm out of the uniform, once I'm out of medical hold unit, I have a feeling that there are going to be a bunch of people who will just not believe me, even though I can only tell the truth. I got in trouble for telling the truth, remember? Because I did. I got asked if I went drinking over the weekend, my first weekend at medical hold unit, and it was a master sergeant. I said, yep, I did. And he looked at me and goes, excuse you? I said, yep, I was told I went drinking. And the master sergeant was like, do you know how old you have to be to go drinking? And I looked at him and I was like, old enough to swallow the liquid? And he goes, no. Like, okay, what type of drinking? And so I told him, I said, well, I was told I had beer because apparently mead isn't around anymore. And he looked at me and he goes, you had beer? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, why did you have beer? I said, because I went out with some guys and they said that I could have beer. And yeah, I got in trouble for that. I got in trouble. I got a counseling statement for drinking underage because I was 17. And so those guys were the same ones that I went to the rave with, by the way. And so as far as military guys, anyway, some of them at least. Anyway, so I had Webker and Jolliffe, that's right. And so went to explain that to the master sergeant, and so yeah, I got in trouble for that. But see, I had been honest, and so I didn't get in as much trouble. Like, I could have gotten an Article 15 for drinking underage. They gave me a counseling statement because, like, I didn't know any better, because I literally had to be told, apparently you have to be 21 years old in the United States of America to have alcohol. And so, okay, fine. Okay. And so, you know, I was speaking with Watson, and I was like, you know, so I'm honest, and Watson's like, yeah, I know you're honest. And I'm like, so, but there are people who aren't going to believe me. And he goes, well, they just still have to get to know you. I said, yeah, but Watson, I don't think you understand. Like, I have this really bad feeling that, you know, certain aspects of that nightmare are going to be, you know, true, and they're going to come true, but there's going to be some variances, and I'm going to have to figure that out. And he looked at me and he was like, well, isn't that part of life? You have to figure certain things out. And I was like, yes, Watson, but at the same time, like, there are certain things that it just doesn't make sense, because I signed up on the dotted line, like, to, you know, if I had to kill for my country, I'd kill for my country. If I had to die for my country, I'd die for my country. But of course I want to live for my country and do what's necessary for my country. I signed up and they wouldn't let me go into infantry or combat arms or cavalry. And, you know, that's the only way I could think of being on the front line. And so, you know, the only other aspect was for me to go into supply or logistics, and I couldn't even finish basic training. What am I supposed to do? And Watson was just like, well, you know, why do you think nobody's going to believe you? Irony of ironies. And so I had said, well, you know, I'm not going to look like somebody who's been hurt when active duty. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, okay, I don't have any burns, right? And he goes, no, you don't have any burns. I said, okay, I had a head injury. He goes, yes, you had a head injury. I said, so you can't see it, right? He goes, no. I look normal, right? He goes, yeah. I said, you have an injury, right? He goes, yeah. You can see it, right? Yeah. Okay. So I don't look like someone who's been in, and I'm never going to look like someone who's been in. I'm just going to look like me, and I'm going to have to constantly, like, defend the fact that I actually went in. And I don't like that feeling because I shouldn't have to defend that. And we talked for a little while longer, and it was just one of those, I don't think you get like what I'm nervous about because I can't put it into words. And, you know, I don't look like somebody who's been in. And that was back in 2000. And he was just, oh, Hom, you're just, you know, you'll figure it out. Yeah, but what if I don't? And he was like, you'll figure a way. And I was like, yeah, you sound so like fluffy. Irony. And he was like, but Hom, you know, you have this and you have that. And I was like, yes. But see, those things that you're pointing to, those things that you see, like, that's an everyday thing for so many people. And it's going to be difficult for others to, like, acknowledge that. And then even when they do, they're not going to believe me. They're going to just, you know, chalk it up to something else, or they're going to, you know, make this excuse and make that excuse. And I went on, and essentially everything I said that was going to happen did. Irony of ironies, this is the 13th of June in 2020. And so he and I talked for a little while, and he was like, well, you know, what is it that you want to do? And I was like, I want to be able to make sure that I take care of what needs to be taken care of. I'm telling you, there's stuff that I just can't shake is going to happen. Because I can't shake that it's going to happen, I'm very nervous for all of the military guys. He was like, well, the Army will be fine. And I looked at him, I said, military, not just Army. And he goes, but you joined the Army. I said, yeah, I joined the Army. But I did look at the Marine Corps. And because, you know, and he goes, oh yeah, that's why you won't say that you're a soldier. I was like, yeah, because I didn't graduate basic training. I took some of those values. And, you know, I stand by them in that regard of, you know, because I didn't graduate, you know, yeah, in the Army, you're allowed to say you're a soldier because, you know, you signed the dotted line. But I had looked at the Corps. And the Corps, you don't get to call yourself a Marine unless you graduate basic training. And that's when you earn your title of Marine. And so, you know, because I feel, you know, and felt selfish because I took the money, you know, option if I had graduated basic training, which obviously I didn't graduate basic training, you know, so then, you know, not only do I not get that, but then, you know, I don't even get to call myself a soldier. And he was like, well, you know, I mean, maybe you'll think of something else. And I looked at him, I was like, oh, I'm thinking. Oh, I am. Oh, I'm thinking. I'm thinking, and I have President, or former President, Abraham Lincoln in my thoughts right now, and I'm freaking out because former President Abraham Lincoln dealt with a lot of stuff, and in conjunction to his, you know, existence, I'm thinking of both General as well as President George Washington. And then I'm also thinking of a couple other presidents, and I don't think they're presidents anymore. And Watson just shook his head. He's like, those presidents haven't been around for a long time. And I was like, yeah, well, like, I'm going over thoughts in weird ways, and this other guy, like, he's still around. At that time he was, and I can't figure out his name, but I know his values. I know, like, the importance of certain things. And I still don't, like, I know there's 2 letters for this president's name, like his first name and his last name are the same letter. I just don't know what they are. And so, nonetheless, talked with Watson about that. And so, realistically, I still don't look like somebody who has been in the United States of America's armed forces. The irony of, well, I guess in certain regards I kind of have been on the front line, just in a different way, because, well, how many guys, and not being sexist, just the East Coast term of guys, how many have been considered as conspiracy theorists or told, whatever name in regards to feeling as though there were individuals who were out to cause problems for them because of their military background. And, as far as my Medal of Honor art project is concerned, I mean, I never thought that anybody would cause problems to that at all, ever. There's not one person I genuinely thought would actually maliciously cause problems to my Medal of Honor art project. And, then there was the number issue after, going to Senator Murray's office in Seattle, Washington, where seeing the big book on her table, and it had over 200 names of Medal of Honor recipients in Washington State that had earned the Medal of Honor. And I only found 56 or 57. And then, I also contacted, Senator Cantwell and Congressman Adam Smith and Congressman Derek Kilmer and those guys to get that stuff taken care of. And then later, governors of each of the states that I had gone to, and so on and so forth. And just all of these different areas. And then the aspects of the online stuff and the issues there, and the threats that essentially became reality in certain regards, how I wound up where I wound up, and all that sort of stuff. And but not forgetting the day of 9/11, and just instantly knowing what needed to be done as soon as possible, so that way I could assist where I could assist, even though I knew I couldn't do certain things, because realistically it's not like I could have gone back to basic training. Can, because I still deal with the headaches and migraines and all that stuff, but and so I would guesstimate the people in the state of Montana, along with the other states, because I did put in writing every one that I found as far as numbers, because I counted, and so that way I could plan out my Medal of Honor art project trip correctly. So Montana, has that marker in the Flathead area with the 2 different things with the names of guys who had been, in the United States of America's armed forces, whichever branch, whichever division. It only says, if you go back and read, it doesn't say which branch they were in. It just says that they were in, and that they had, given everything that they could. And so, when it comes to my Medal of Honor art project, I didn't look at who the individual was as far as anything beyond their Medal of Honor. I didn't look into, their ethnic background. If they had a spiritual marker on their marker, I respected that. And if they didn't have a spiritual marker on their marker, I respected that as well. I had not done anything disrespectfully. I had only been respectful. And so, in Montana, I found a total of 20 names of Medal of Honor recipients. I brought the Medal of Honor art project pieces where I did in the state of Montana. Dropped them off where I did. And, the aspects of all that coming together, and I didn't pay attention to anything beyond that. I didn't discriminate against anything beyond that. Did some of their spirits inform me which way their proverbial door swam? Yeah, they did. And I didn't care. That didn't stop me from still respecting the fact that they earned the Medal of Honor. So, though obviously there are those who had issues with my Medal of Honor art project, not only did you discriminate as far as whoever caused problems maliciously, not only did you discriminate against me for my patriotism, not only did you discriminate against my son and my daughter because I was doing certain things to show them a better way in various ways of looking towards, various aspects of positivity out from the negativity in regards to nobody wants to actually be in a war. And so, not only were you discriminating when you caused problems to my Medal of Honor art project against that, you were also discriminating against my disability from my head injury. And then you were discriminating against each and every city and state of the United States of America for whatever war they were in, whatever branch they were in, whatever their religion or non-religion was. And you also discriminated against their ethnic background, and you discriminated against their sexuality when you caused problems maliciously to my Medal of Honor art project. You discriminated against their families. You discriminated against their friends. And you needlessly caused problems. Whereas all I was doing was being respectful and teaching my son through firsthand experience aspects, but also trying to set an example for my daughter. So not only were you sexist against me for being a female and doing it, but you were sexist against my son and my daughter for causing problems to my Medal of Honor art project, on top of everything else, in my opinion. And when it comes to my Medal of Honor art project, not only that, I didn't discriminate against whatever their political affiliation was when they were in. And you cherubim ones that caused problems maliciously to my Medal of Honor art project, you did that too. Because there were some who were Democrats. There were some who were Republicans. And you chose to cause problems to all of them. So you literally discriminated against each and every one of them. And not only that, you discriminated against each of their ethnic backgrounds, their bloodlines. Because, there were each of those Medal of Honor recipients, they weren't all one ethnic background. There were some that were mixed races. There were some that were purebreds, or however you want to put it. And you discriminated against them, causing problems for that. And I would guesstimate that with your problems that you maliciously caused to my Medal of Honor art project, you were proud of yourself too, right? You disgust me, and you disgust quite a few others, I'm sure. Rightfully so. I don't know how you can even continue to breathe, to be perfectly honest with you. Not just the fact that I know you breathe by inhaling and exhaling. I just genuinely don't understand how you can actually allow yourselves to breathe for the problems you caused and the disrespect you showed. All because of the fact that I was doing something positive, despite all the negativity. I just, yeah. So, I would also guesstimate something like what I started the video off with, showing in regards to that memorial I found. I would guesstimate that the state of Montana is not the only state that has something like that. In the United States of America. And if, hypothetically, if people that I knew from the state of Texas were a part of that and causing problems maliciously to my Medal of Honor art project, I stand by my statement where I said to people, when specifically in Arizona, but also in Washington State, as well as in the state of Texas, because of course there were plenty I said this to. I cannot believe that you are in the state of Texas and so unpatriotic. Especially to the ones that were born and raised in the state of Texas. So, you know, I didn't blame everybody in the United States of America's armed forces, nor did I blame everybody from the Army branch of the armed forces for the United States of America for my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. I didn't blame everybody. Nobody forced me to sign that dotted line. I fought to sign that dotted line. I did everything I could, despite being born and raised in the state of New Jersey, a very democratic state. Very, very blue state. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with people who have the democratic views, because obviously there are certain aspects which are of importance for societal aspects. However, you cannot treat everybody in regards to the participation trophy sort of thing, because it doesn't teach anybody anything. It doesn't give anybody the aspiration to do and to be better, not just as human beings, but as productive members in society, within humanity. And so, the irony of being on the front line in a very, very different way. Truthfully hope that the aspects of the nightmare is completely over and the aspects of my dream start coming into fruition, because yeah, I the irony on being on 35 South in the state of Montana. In that regard. So, in closing, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, save us, that Star Spangled Banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed her grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. You guys have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. Comment, like, share, and subscribe to my official YouTube channel.